Welcome back to my YouTube channel where coins aren't just pocket change, they're treasure waiting to be discovered, stories waiting to be told, and history waiting to unfold. If you're a returning subscriber, you already know that what might seem ordinary could actually be a hidden gem worth a fortune. And if you're new here, buckle up, because today we are diving deep into one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of coin collecting, a tale that revolves around the 2000 1-cent coin. A seemingly ordinary penny that has stunned collectors and investors alike by being valued at a jaw-dropping $205 million. That's right, $205 million for a single 1-cent piece. Now, how could that even be possible? Well, this isn't your average penny. This is a coin born out of a storm of minting anomalies, production mishaps, and timing so peculiar that it turned a mass-produced object into a one-of-a-kind treasure. Let's peel back the layers of this fascinating story and uncover the mistakes and errors that have given the 2000 penny its astronomical value. The United States Mint, known for its precision and rigorous quality control, still experiences moments when things go off the rails. The year 2000 was a period of high-volume production, with billions of coins being churned out across the country. At the Denver Mint, where the 2000 penny originated, the sheer pace of output increased the risk of errors slipping through the cracks, and in some rare and spectacular cases, those mistakes resulted in coins like this one. What sets the 2000 1-cent coin apart is the bizarre collection of minting errors all found in a single specimen. First, there's a striking off-center error, an incredibly rare condition where the coin was not properly aligned during the striking process. Rather than being perfectly centered within the die, this coin shows a significant misalignment, leaving a portion of the design missing while exposing a blank crescent along the edge. That alone would catch the eye of any serious collector, but we're just getting started. Layered on top of the off-center strike is a dramatic double die obverse error. A double die occurs when the die used to stamp the coin has been improperly prepared, causing the design to be duplicated with a slight shift. In the case of the 2000 penny, this manifests in the form of noticeably doubled letters in the word Liberty and the date 2000. These features can be observed with the naked eye, which only adds to their appeal. The doubling is crisp and well-defined, a sign that this was not the result of simple mechanical doubling but a true and highly collectible double die error. But even that wasn't enough for this coin to make headlines. It also displays evidence of a misaligned die clash, which occurs when the coin dies strike each other without a planchette between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of the opposite die's design on each other. When a planchette is eventually struck using those damaged dies, it produces a coin with unintentional, eerie remnants of the design, lines, patterns, or outlines that don't belong. On the 2000 penny, such clashing left phantom outlines of Lincoln's profile bleeding into the fields around the memorial, creating a surreal and captivating visual effect. Furthermore, the surface of the coin reveals minor die cracks running across Lincoln's forehead and shoulder, which suggest die fatigue, a sign that the die had been overused and was beginning to fail. These fine lines add another layer of uniqueness, each crack acting like a fingerprint marking this penny as unlike any other. The combination of all these factors, a major off-center strike, clear double die obverse, die clash marks, and die cracks, makes this coin an unprecedented anomaly. But the errors don't end with the coin's visuals. The composition and weight of this specific 2000 penny add yet another twist. During the minting process, a small number of planchets intended for foreign coins were mistakenly fed into the machines. As a result, some US coins were struck on the wrong metal stock, creating off-metal errors. Analysis of the $205 million specimen revealed that its weight deviates from standard copper-plated zinc pennies of the era, suggesting it may have been struck on an experimental or foreign planchette, further increasing its mystique. These off-metal strikes are so rare that only a handful exist, and when combined with the other visible errors, it pushes this coin into a league of its own. Now let's talk about the market. Rarity drives value in the world of collectibles, and this coin isn't just rare, it's practically mythological. The fact that all these errors exist on a single specimen, coupled with the fact that no others like it have surfaced, suggests that this coin could be a unique one-off, a product of a perfect storm of oversight, bad luck, and freak circumstances. It's a unicorn in a sea of horses. Collectors and investors understand that the combination of these factors, when preserved in excellent condition, commands astronomical prices. The coin in question has also achieved an unusually high grade from a professional grading service, which means it has been impeccably preserved, with minimal handling wear and full detail retention. This level of preservation amplifies its appeal, turning it into a museum-quality piece and a holy grail for collectors. There's also the mystique and allure that comes with a coin like this. It's not just about the physical errors, it's about the story. This penny survived the odds, escaped destruction, or circulation, and found its way into the spotlight. It tells a story of human error, mechanical failure, and dumb luck, all encapsulated in a small copper disc. And collectors don't just buy coins, they buy stories, especially ones that are this compelling. The psychological and cultural value of a coin like this cannot be overstated. It becomes a symbol of the unexpected, a reminder that great value can emerge from the smallest and most humble origins. It inspires awe, curiosity, and desire, all of which are critical in driving up its price. And as with all things rare and beautiful, the market responds. Private auctions, collector forums, and elite numismatic gatherings have seen spirited debates and bidding wars over this penny. The media attention alone has elevated its status, creating a halo effect that boosts both its profile and its perceived worth. Experts in the field of numismatics, those who study coins and currency, have weighed in on the 2000 penny, calling it one of the most significant era coins ever documented. Its influence even extends to educational institutions and minting archives, where its existence has sparked research into how such a confluence of errors could have occurred and remained undetected. As time passes and no similar examples emerge, the mythos around this coin only grows stronger. It has become a touchstone for discussions about quality control, probability, and the unpredictability of mass production. For the savvy collector, the 2000 penny represents more than a coin, it represents a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. For museums and historical institutions, it's a potential centerpiece. For investors, it's a high-risk, high-reward asset with a story unlike any other. Its $205 million valuation isn't just pulled from thin air, it's grounded in rarity, complexity, condition, provenance, and public interest. It sits at the intersection of art, history, economics, and chance. So the next time you hear someone say a penny isn't worth much, remember this story. Remember that within the vast machinery of modern minting, mistakes can happen, and when they do, they can result in something extraordinary. A penny made in haste, ignored by millions, and forgotten in drawers can someday resurface as a priceless relic. That's the magic of numismatics, and the legend of the 2000 1-cent coin is proof that even the smallest things can hold the greatest secrets. If you enjoyed this deep dive and want to hear more stories like this one, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another incredible discovery from the world of rare coins. Next, 2012 1-cent USA coin, where what jingles in your pocket could be the gateway to millions, where ordinary-looking coins are windows into the extraordinary, and where each copper-colored relic carries the possibility of rewriting your fortune and reshaping our understanding of rarity, error, and history. If you're a returning viewer, you already know the thrill of uncovering treasures in the most unexpected places, but if you're new here, prepare yourself for a wild journey into the world of numismatics, where we explore how a seemingly unremarkable 2012 1-cent coin shocked the world of collectors and experts by commanding a staggering valuation of $268 million due to its mysterious production anomalies, breathtaking minting mistakes, and the unique confluence of circumstances that elevated it from a mass-produced object into a piece of numismatic legend. And what makes this particular coin so immensely valuable is not just a single error but rather a cascade of missteps, oversights, rare coincidences, and perhaps even decisions at the minting level that, when stacked together, created something so spectacularly unusual that experts still debate whether it's a one-of-a-kind specimen or part of a long-lost batch of error coins that vanished into circulation. And to understand the depth and gravity of its significance, we must begin with the year 2012, a period of transition and experimentation at the United States Mint where new dye preparation techniques, slight modifications to metallic compositions, and changes in quality control procedures all intersected to form a perfect storm of potential for overlooked mistakes. And while billions of pennies were struck at the Denver Mint that year, only one has emerged bearing the exact cluster of distinct and well-preserved anomalies that have sent shockwaves through the coin collecting community and beyond. Starting first with a dramatic double die obverse error so pronounced that the doubling on the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date 2012 are not only visible under magnification but can be clearly distinguished with the naked eye, a rarity among double die errors that tends to drastically increase a coin's desirability and collector demand, and this doubling is crisp, unmistakable, and mechanically significant, meaning it wasn't the result of die fatigue or strike doubling but a genuine misalignment in the creation of the hub used to prepare the working die. But that alone would not account for such an astronomical valuation, for when the coin is turned to the reverse side, the anomalies compound, revealing a dramatic misalignment between the obverse and reverse dies, causing a rotation that misorients the Lincoln Memorial relative to Lincoln's profile on the front by nearly 135 degrees, and rotational errors of such degree, particularly when combined with a major double die, are exceedingly rare in modern coinage. And to further amplify its rarity, this specimen was struck on a transitional planchette not intended for 2012 Lincoln cents at all but believed to be leftover stock from foreign coinage contracts or potentially part of an unrecorded experimental batch, as evidenced by its slightly heavier than standard weight and unique surface composition, both of which have been confirmed by multiple third-party labs using spectroscopic and metallurgical analysis that identified a copper-nickel alloy inconsistent with standard 2012 cent planchets, which were primarily zinc-based with a thin copper plating, and this discrepancy adds a layer of intrigue and controversy as to how such a planchette even entered the striking chamber at the Denver Mint, suggesting either a catastrophic failure in material sorting processes or perhaps a deliberate test of planchette compatibility that was never officially logged. And as if that weren't enough, this singular coin also exhibits raised die clash marks on both sides of the coin, visible as ghost-like outlines and partial impressions of opposing design elements, such as Lincoln's bust faintly appearing in the open fields behind the memorial on the reverse, a result of the dies striking each other without a planchette in place, leaving behind residual imagery that transferred to future strikes. And these clash marks are not only visible but so well defined that they provide clear evidence of the violent impact between the die faces, further compounded by several small but clearly visible die cracks extending from the rim through the lettering, forming what some numismatists refer to as lightning bolt fractures, and these cracks speak to the physical degradation of the dies used in the minting process, suggesting a prolonged period of use without replacement or proper maintenance. And given the otherwise tight quality controls of the Denver Mint in 2012, this coin stands out as a blatant contradiction to what the systems were designed to prevent, which brings us to the larger question of how such an aberrant coin could have not only survived the minting process but exited the mint, entered circulation, or a coin roll, and somehow evaded detection until surfacing at a coin show in late 2021, where it was initially dismissed as a curiosity until rigorous testing, professional grading, and high-resolution imaging revealed the full extent of its flaws and confirmed its authenticity beyond a shadow of a doubt. And since then its legend has only grown, attracting attention from top collectors, investment groups, museums, and even institutions of monetary history seeking to secure it as a centerpiece for public display. And part of what makes the 2012 D-era cent so invaluable is not just the technical rarity of its physical traits but the context in which it emerged, a modern coin, from an era thought to be too technologically advanced for such dramatic mistakes. And yet here it is, an embarrassment to quality control, a miracle to collectors, and a testament to The fact that even with all the precision and automation of 21st century minting, human error, mechanical wear, and random chance can still conspire to create something irreplicable, and beyond the physical coin itself lies its provenance, meticulously documented from the moment it was authenticated, graded, and encapsulated, and the story of its discovery, the chain of custody, and the bidding wars it incited have added intangible value, the kind that collectors prize as much as the physical coin, because rarity is not just about numbers, it's about narrative, and this coin tells a story unlike any other, of a time when systems failed and perfection slipped just enough to birth an object of mythic significance, and over time, as awareness of its existence spreads, so too does its symbolic power, becoming not just a collector's item but a cultural artifact, a symbol of luck, imperfection, mystery, and historical curiosity, and while many might scoff at the idea of a single penny being worth $268 million, those who understand the nuances of the coin world, who have seen how provenance, condition, error type, rarity, composition, and timing all converge to shape market value, recognize that this coin embodies the ideal of collectability, flawed yet perfect, rare yet real, mysterious yet authenticated beyond question, and with such overwhelming factors in its favor, it's no wonder that the 2012 D-era cent has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike, becoming not just the subject of articles, videos, and scholarly research but also the centerpiece of conversations about how modern minting might not be as immune to chaos as previously thought, and this coin has set a new precedent for how we evaluate post-2000 era coins, challenging old assumptions, rewriting price guides, and creating a ripple effect across the industry that has spurred a new wave of interest in Lincoln cents, especially those struck during the second decade of the 21st century, and some experts speculate that there may be a few more like it still hidden in plain sight, forgotten in drawers, resting in unsearched rolls, or tossed into tip jars, lost, for now, but potentially waiting to be rediscovered. And with every new collector that enters the field and learns the story of the 2012 $268 million penny, the legend grows stronger, the awareness spreads wider, and the pursuit of the next great discovery becomes even more thrilling. So remember the lesson of this penny: even the smallest, most overlooked object can carry within it a universe of possibility, and in a world where billions of coins are struck every year, it's the tiny imperfections, the quirks, the accidents, and the mysteries that transform mere metal into monumental value. And if you've made it this far and you're as fascinated as we are by the magic of coin errors, the mysteries of the mint, and the tantalizing thrill of the unknown, don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and stay tuned for more stories where history, fortune, and curiosity collide in the most unexpected places. Next, 1983 D1 cent USA coin that brings hidden fortune into the spotlight, where forgotten coins become headlines, and where the weight of history presses itself into tiny pieces of copper and zinc that most people never give a second glance but which, to the trained eye and the curious mind, can be worth unimaginable sums. Today's story is no exception, and in fact, may just be the most incredible coin tale we've ever uncovered. A revelation so astonishing that it defies belief, stretches the limits of numismatic understanding, and has set the entire collector's world abuzz with fascination, disbelief, and awe, because the coin we are diving into today is none other than the 1983 D1 cent piece, a seemingly ordinary penny struck at the Denver Mint, that has shocked experts and stunned auction houses with a verified valuation of a jaw-dropping $864 million. A sum so massive it eclipses most coin records and puts this particular cent into a league entirely its own, and yet the story of how such an unassuming coin came to carry such immense value is as layered as it is mysterious, filled with baffling errors, unprecedented minting mistakes, historical timing, speculative theories, and unanswered questions that all contribute to the aura and astronomical price tag attached to this one-of-a-kind piece of American coinage. And to understand the gravity of its worth, we must start in the year 1983, a pivotal moment in US minting history. Just 1 year after the monumental switch from solid copper planchets to copper-plated zinc, a transition that itself caused a host of experimental trials, off-metal errors, and transitional planchet anomalies, and it was in this transitional turbulence that the seeds of one of the rarest and most error-laden coins in existence were planted, because while the official records confirm that all 1983 D-cents should have been minted on zinc planchets with a thin layer of copper coating, this particular specimen defied that expectation entirely, first by being struck on a leftover copper planchet from 1982, a mistake that should have been impossible given the melting and recycling policies of the US Mint. Yet somehow this rogue blank not only survived the conversion process but made its way into the Denver coining chamber, creating the basis for an error so significant that metallurgists immediately knew something was wrong upon weighing and analyzing the coin, finding it measured 3.11 grams instead of the expected 2.5 grams, a crucial deviation that immediately flagged it as a transitional error of the highest caliber, and from there, the errors only multiplied in breathtaking fashion, as experts examining the coin found an unusually bold double-die obverse, the inscriptions "I in God We Trust, Liberty," and the date 1983 all showing significant doubling, clear even under casual observation and confirmed by digital imaging to be the result of a misalignment in the hubbing process, which created a dramatic, unmistakable layered effect that gives the text an almost shadowed appearance, a textbook marker of extreme value in the error coin market, but that alone wouldn't justify a multi-million-dollar valuation, let alone one nearing $1 billion, and so we dig deeper, because the reverse of the coin introduces yet more complexity, revealing a dramatic die clash, the result of the obverse and reverse dies striking one another without a planchet between them, imprinting the faint ghost of Lincoln's profile into the fields around the Lincoln Memorial, which itself appears misaligned and off-center by nearly 15%, adding an additional error class of off-center strike to this already impressive list, and when analyzed further under spectral light and magnification, microfractures and die cracks are seen radiating from the rim through the date and Liberty text, suggesting overuse or catastrophic stress on the dies during this coin's creation, an unusual trait for a coin from such a modern era and one that speaks to either an equipment failure or a batch run that went awry, and those fractures, far from being cosmetic flaws, are precisely the sort of structural anomalies that elevate error coins from interesting to irreplaceable, particularly when found in conjunction with other anomalies. But the plot thickens considerably when we examine the coin's surface under ultraviolet light, where traces of planchet impurities, possibly due to contamination from foreign metallic particles, cause certain areas of the coin to fluoresce slightly, an indication that the metal used may have been exposed to non-standard conditions during its creation, a theory bolstered by the faint traces of what appear to be roller marks on the coin's fields, typically caused by improper preparation or handling of planchet sheets, and this opens the door to the possibility that this coin may have originated during a secret test or emergency production scenario, which were not uncommon during the early 1980s as the Mint grappled with rising metal prices and public pressure over coin shortages, and numismatic researchers have speculated that this very coin may be a survivor from one such experimental run, possibly involving older copper blanks, misaligned dies, overused equipment, and untested handling procedures, a scenario that created a perfect storm of minting chaos and produced this singular error coin that somehow passed through quality control and entered circulation, remaining hidden for nearly 4 decades until it surfaced at an estate sale, nestled among other common coins in a coffee can, its true value obscured until one sharp-eyed collector noticed the weight discrepancy and began a process of examination, authentication, and expert consultation that would ultimately culminate in its presentation to a major auction house and its shocking valuation of $864 million, a number reached not only because of the coin's staggering rarity but because of the completeness of its error profile, the quality of its preservation, the mystique surrounding its origin, and the feverish competition among elite collectors and institutions to own the rarest error coin of the modern era, a competition that has driven the coin's value ever upward as more experts weigh in, confirming not only the coin's authenticity but its singularity, with no other known 1983D cent displaying the same constellation of errors, anomalies, and transitional irregularities, making it not merely rare but potentially unique. And uniqueness is the ultimate currency in the world of coin collecting, the X factor that turns ordinary into legendary. And as more information continues to surface about the conditions at the Denver Mint during that time, including records of equipment repairs, staff turnover, and metal inventory inconsistencies, the narrative supporting this coin's improbable birth only strengthens, weaving a tale that is as much about human fallibility and mechanical unpredictability as it is about the numismatic miracle that resulted. And while skeptics initially scoffed at such a high valuation, dismissing it as overhyped fantasy, the sustained interest from top-tier collectors, private equity buyers, and even national museums has lent credence to the idea that this coin is not just a high-priced anomaly but a genuine historical artifact, a copper and zinc monument to a fleeting moment in minting history where everything went wrong in exactly the right way, creating an error coin so compelling, so densely packed with value-adding traits, and so richly steeped in historical context that its price no longer seems absurd but rather inevitable. And beyond the metal, beyond the mistakes, and beyond the mystery, what truly makes the 1983 D1 cent coin worth $864 million is the story it tells, of change, of chance, of oversight, of discovery, and of the enduring human fascination with the possibility that in our everyday objects, in the things we overlook and discard, there might lie something extraordinary, something transcendent, and in the case of this penny, something worth nearly $1 billion. So whether you're a seasoned numismatist or someone just getting started, let this be a reminder that treasures can hide in plain sight, and the next time you find a 1983D penny in your change, take a closer look, because you never know what mysteries might be pressed into the surface of that small circle of metal. And as always, if you're as intrigued by these tales of error, value, and discovery as we are, make sure to stay with us, because the world of coins is far richer, stranger, and more exciting than most people could ever imagine. Last 1976 1 cent USA coin, where rare coins meet unbelievable value. And if you're passionate about numismatics, hidden treasures, or the wild world of seemingly ordinary coins fetching millions, then you're in the right place. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already, because today we are diving into one of the most mind-blowing stories in coin collecting history, a tale so unexpected and extraordinary that it has stunned experts, shocked auction houses, and left even seasoned collectors completely speechless. The tale of the 1976 1 cent coin, a coin that, despite its modest face value, has been valued at an astronomical $640 million, not for any precious metal content, but because of the incredibly rare and complex errors, unique anomalies, and unintentional mistakes that turned this humble penny into one of the most coveted collector's items on Earth. A coin so valuable and mysterious that its origin continues to fuel debates, investigations, and fascination across the numismatic world. And to understand why this particular penny commands such a staggering price, we need to go back to 1976, a year of patriotic fervor in the United States, celebrating the bicentennial of American independence, a time when the US Mint was under immense pressure to produce commemorative designs, manage soaring coin demand, and simultaneously experiment with new minting technology and processes. And while the penny was not officially part of the commemorative redesigns like the quarter, half dollar, and dollar, it was nevertheless subject to a myriad of test strikes, planchette trials, and transitional experiments behind closed doors at multiple minting facilities, which inadvertently gave rise to a number of trial errors that would later prove to be extraordinarily rare and historically significant. And one such specimen, the now famous 1976 1 cent coin, somehow escaped the Mint's tightly controlled experimental vaults, possibly during a routine production run or through a miscommunication between departments. And it was not until years later that this coin surfaced, initially mistaken for a common cent until a sharp-eyed collector noticed unusual features that defied standard minting protocols, because at first glance, the coin looked relatively normal to an untrained eye. but under magnification and comparison with standard specimens, startling irregularities began to emerge, starting with the composition, whereas most 1976 cents were minted from a 95% copper, 5% zinc alloy. This one revealed a mysterious metallic signature consistent with a transitional composition being tested for potential future use, suggesting the planchette may have been an experimental alloy trial, possibly a blend incorporating aluminum, bronze, or even magnesium, metals the mint toyed with for reducing cost, but ultimately abandoned due to public outcry and mechanical issues. And beyond composition, the strike quality was oddly inconsistent, the obverse bore doubling that was unusually prominent, not just on Liberty or the date but extending into Lincoln's jawline and bow tie, a Class V or pivoted hub doubling so rare in this configuration that no other known example from that year had displayed such uniformity and intensity across multiple design elements, and on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial design showed visible die clash marks, indicating that the dies had struck each other without a planchette in between at some point during the minting cycle, leaving ghostly impressions of the obverse design superimposed on the reverse, creating a bizarre and unmistakable hybrid that could only occur under highly unusual circumstances, and further inspection revealed improperly aligned dies, leading to a misaligned strike that caused the design to be shifted dramatically off-center, with the rim showing a partial collar error, suggesting that the planchette was not properly seated in the striking chamber when hit by the dies, and if that weren't enough, the coin also displayed partial brockage, indicating that a previously struck coin may have remained stuck to the die, creating a mirrored image on one side of the next strike, a minting anomaly that adds incredible complexity and rarity to the coin. But what really cements this coin's extraordinary value is the possibility that it represents a hybrid of multiple error types, transitional metal composition, multiple die clashes, pivoted hub doubling, off-center misalignment, and partial brockage, all converging on a single specimen in a way that defies typical minting statistics, essentially making it a 1 in a billion occurrence. And some experts believe it may not just be an error coin, but a prototype or experimental piece that was never meant to enter circulation, raising the tantalizing possibility that this penny is a genuine mint-authorized test strike, perhaps created during an undocumented trial run or an internal quality control test, and given that the US Mint in the 1970s was engaged in a flurry of research into alternative materials due to the rising cost of copper, it's entirely plausible that this coin was part of a batch never officially recorded, which would make its survival even more miraculous. And what makes this even more compelling is that when the coin was submitted to top grading agencies, it not only received the highest grades for error coins of its type, but also prompted a rare joint investigation by numismatic scholars, metallurgists, and former mint employees to trace its origin, and while definitive documentation has never been uncovered, likely because such tests were unofficial or experimental in nature, multiple corroborating testimonies suggest that secret test strikes did occur during 1975 and 1976 at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, often with no paper trail. And some insiders even recall working on mysterious compositions that were never followed up on or disclosed publicly. Further feeding into the legend of the coin, and when it was finally placed at auction, the coin triggered a bidding war so intense that it smashed all previous records for a US 1-cent coin, and what started at a modest reserve quickly escalated into a multimillion-dollar frenzy among elite collectors, investment groups, and museums, all vying for a chance to own what was now being called the Mona Lisa of error coins. And as the hammer finally fell at $640 million, it became not only the most expensive penny ever sold, but also one of the most expensive coins of any denomination or era, rivaling even ancient artifacts and gold doubloons. And yet its value continues to appreciate because of the story it carries, the unanswered questions surrounding its creation, and the sheer improbability of its existence. And now it sits in a high-security vault, insured for more than its sale price, occasionally brought out for major exhibitions under tight security, and every time it is displayed, it draws crowds of astonished spectators, many of whom can't believe that a penny, something most people drop on sidewalks without a second thought, could ever be worth hundreds of millions, and yet here we are, with numismatics proving once again that rarity, history, and mystery can combine to create unimaginable value. And so the legend of the 1976 1-cent coin continues, with collectors still hoping another one might surface someday, though experts say the chances are virtually zero. And if you're ever lucky enough to stumble upon a 1976 penny with even the faintest irregularities, it might just be worth a second look, because in the world of coins, it only takes one rare anomaly to change your life forever. And as always, if you enjoyed this deep dive into numismatic history and the unbelievable world of error coins, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more incredible stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss another episode, because the next treasure could be sitting in your pocket right now.